WesWes Show.
Whoa. Since you're off the bench, mate, we might as well let you keep the mic with your Sea Eagles game to finish out the round, mate. 30-26. No one saw this coming. I don't even. Did you bother to watch your team?
Yeah, I did, mate. It was awesome start from the. It was good. I think it took a wee while for them to get into, but then Luai scored the first try. But yeah, they had some, like I said, there were some good runs from Lodge as well up the middle to give them that sort of impetus and sort of.
I knew Lodge was playing for you guys when I saw him running. I'm like, so let him have Lodge for Manly now.
Because I didn't mind him when he was playing for the Warriors too.
Yeah.
I think, sheesh, this guy obviously is a bit of a...
massive, eh? He looks huge.
Yeah, big unit, but, just no nonsense, just straight up the guts, And so he sort of reminded me of a bit of he's just a bigger version of a Campion. From back in the day. In terms of, I'm just saying, there's no nonsense. Tries to get a lot of go forward. Oh, just as how
he's got similar haircuts. That's about all I can say. That's similar about him.
I'm just saying, Australian. Just
Campion's a fucking champ.
I know.
He's a legend.
I'm just saying he's a bit of a warrior as well. So
he's saying he's Australian, basically.
he's a Maori guy. I see the.
I reckon he could have knocked out Sean Whipkey as well. Whipkey. Anyway, but I just like the way he was being able to get some go forward with Manly on the weekend, and that led to a couple of good forward tries. Otherwise, starting it off, and then Okuatu DCE's playing really well. I think.
Is it too little, or too late, or what?
It could be, if they drop, one of the or two of these last few games on the their last leg through to the last round, it could be too late. But it's like I say, it's really tight. There's a few teams there that could still make it, and there's a few teams that are in the 8 that could miss out, as you guys have already alluded to. So, and Manly, as we know, that they're probably going to fire at the back end, but it just takes a slip up again. But they've had too many losses, I believe, already in this season.
It just makes it hard.
It could be costly already for their season, and they'll probably ruin all those missed chances in the season gone. But what can you do about it? But they're just trying to put their best foot forward now in this business end. Whether they make the 8, I'm hoping they still make the 8, but it could be, and then they'll be playing obviously a team higher up, but they'll slot it, I reckon, 8th or 7th. I don't know what the stats are on teams making it from that and going deep into the playoffs. I'm not. I know Canberra come to mind.
No chance.
Warriors come to mind.
Or the Warriors, but the Warriors haven't been able to tick off the big box in the ship. So who knows? This could be it. Or if they do still get a life in being in the top 4. I'm saying the Warriors.
Listen to your teacup there, mate.
No, the Warriors.
I don't think you carried the one. Your calculations aren't adding up here, mate. Top 4.
He's still done from the celebrations from the weekend.
Is the top 4? Top 4? Did they get 2 lives or was it 1? Was it
2
top
lives.
2?
Oh,
top
1
2.
You get extra life. Yeah.
Top 4 get 1. Yeah.
Okay, but top 2. So I can't remember the format. So
top 2 only get the home semi.
Yeah, I know, but the top 2, I mean the top 4, they play, in the winner, they get a life, right? Or they survive.
They get a week off.
Yeah. But then the losers of the top 4 get the extra life to play the winners of the other teams.
Bottom 4,
right. So that's where I'm worried about the Warriors. If they don't win that first game, if they're in the top 4, they don't win that first game, they'll get knocked out in the preceding week. They'll get knocked out in the final week.
The top 4, the loser of the top 4 get a home semi against the other team that won.
Yep.
The Warriors will play, if they lose, hypothetically, whoever loses,
they'll still get a chance.
They'll get that home.
They'll have the home advantage,
at Mount Smart.
And that's where they'll lose
against the bottom 8 team.
And that's where Manly's going to knock them
against the Eels, because the Manly already be drunk.
We'll see.
So with that game, do you think the Manly have learnt how to win without Tommy?
Nah, but That's what I like. That's why was my little segue with that game with the Warriors, similar to what Manly did. They raced out to this massive lead, and they were like 26-0 up at halftime, 30-0 at the beginning of the second half, and then for the Sharks to come back 26 points, that's concerning. But they held off. But it's just obviously the Sharks they're no real easy beats. They've got some good gun players. Mulitalu and Katoa, awesome wingers. They scored the tries to start that run back, and so they got some good players, I believe. And then obviously with Nico Hines steering the ship.
Hines.
Bit of contentious scores.
Yep.
Bit of contentious scores there that he wasn't happy with.
But did he call her? Oh.
Yeah, I think there was something that he said that he's been pulled up on, but hopefully he doesn't get sort of suspended or anything like that because of. But yeah.
Yeah, with the Panthers, Stace, what do you think their chances are? Like that's a terrible game for them to have dropped after those last few drops as well from
The Sharks, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an interesting game, mate. That left edge of the Sharks, they got carved up again. 2 weeks in a row they've been carved up. So the Warriors carved them up, and then the coach dropped
And they made
Talakai
those changes exactly.
and Moylan, and then they get these two replacements, Trindle and Tracy, and they got carved up from Manly this weekend. So the Sharks have real defensive issues on that side. And Seabold, yeah, he sort of took a leaf out the Warriors game plan the week before, and it worked. But I don't think either of these teams are going to have a massive showing in the finals because both teams, they struggled to halt momentum once the other had the ascendancy. So like Roger mentioned, Manly scored 30 unanswered points, and the Sharks just couldn't do anything to stop it. But then they get the ascendancy, and they scored 26 straight points, and the Seagulls couldn't stop them. So I don't think neither will feature in the playoffs by my calculations. And their inability to stop a team that has the ascendancy is the major reason why.
But that's good. Yeah, I understand why you would, conclude with that kind of assumption. But again, I think that's a bit of nonsense. I'm going to go back into my corner and just watch the rest of this match. But carry on. I understand why you say those kinds of comments, Stace, based on those factors. But I believe it was just a tight game, and then they basically had a little bit of turnaround, and then like you say, the ascendancy, Sharks were able to get some momentum, and then we couldn't sort of hold it out for that period, especially for about good 30 minutes and then we couldn't even score for a good 30 minutes of the second half. So. But it was just almost a game of two halves, pretty much. And Manly have had too many of those this year, and where they've come up short. So they were lucky to come away with this one. But I think Josh Schuster just needs to take a bit more control. But, if anything happens to DCE, we'll be in trouble. We've lost Turbo, but if anything happens to Daly Cherry Evans, I reckon that'll spell sort of, probably we won't go further into the season post the regular rounds. But the way that he's playing, he's able to control things and guide the players. But again, for a good 30 minutes, what happened there, we weren't able to counter anything that the Sharks threw at us, but lucky enough that we had scored the amount of points that we did to be able to secure the win in the end.
Yep, I agree with that.
I've got a summation. This is it.
Spell it.
Manly has got my chance, but if they do make the 8, it's fucking first round loss.
No.
Making up the numbers anyway.
Last in, first out, mate.
Hey, mate.
Exactly.
That's all right. We'll take it. We'll take being last in. That's all right.
You guys just got to miss out on a good venue for your Mad Monday if you don't just lose your games now.
Like we talk about momentum, so the way that the Seagulls do get in, they're going to have to go on a bit of a run. So if you go into the finals in good form, in a close competition, not that I give them any chance, but I'm just trying to give a bit of hope for Rog. I'm just saying,
No, you are giving us a chance.
No, but even if they do go on a good run and they make the 8, let's be honest, they ain't doing shit, man. No Tommy, no chance.
No. They're going to have to win like 5 of these 6 games, so they'll go into the finals in really good form. That's the only way they get in. And if you come in hot form, I'm not saying they're going to get far, but they might get to the second week of the finals at least.
Might look cool. He might look cool.
No. We're gonna get to the second week of the finals.
Yes.
Beat the team of the top four that have lost their top four game, and
Yes.
then we'll get to the prelims as well.
Let's remember this conversation.
You heard it there, people.
It's recorded. It's recorded.
Manly
We're gonna
fans.
get deep. We're gonna go deep into this, man.
Warriors might lose their first game, and there could be a matchup.
And that's it. Manly, Warriors, and Mount Smart. We know the Warriors do not have a good record against Manly at Mount Smart. Okay?
Yes. And you're going to come in your ultimate Warrior gears if they do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll be sitting next to the Joker and I'll be making jokes.
You'll be sitting next to the bloody...
You'll be sitting next to the TV at the Mad Monday celebrations, mate.
I'll be sitting next to Joker going, wah, wah, wah.
Nice, boys. Nice wrap of the week that was. On to other stuff outside of the footy before we look to the next week and also our top 8 teams. I just wanted to touch on the RLPA discussions. So the Rugby League Player Association, what is the CBA? What's that? What's
collective bargaining agreement?
Collective bargaining agreement. There we go. So that's still out on the table. So I thought we'd just kind of have a quick chat on it.
Is that the whole logo thing that they're talking about?
So that's the latest kind of action. So all these different things, not talking to media, and now covering up the logo are all like a union, like the player association is like the union for the players, and these are the actions that they're being guided on to kind of push back. The last resort is to just not play, but we don't want to end up in that place. But they keep going on. This it's affecting the fans. It's affecting, the people that go out and buy the shirts, and it makes the players look greedy. So this is what a lot of the media go and tell us, and others are saying. I wanted you guys, as we're not media, we're fans, just having our say on the game. So yeah, I don't know. That's not how I see it. So, and I guess as a fan, yeah, I'm kind of confused on all of the ins and outs of the terms, just like some of the players. So,
man, I was so confused. I saw the image and I saw that the covering of the logo headline, and I was thinking, but they used Manly as an image on social media, and I thought, oh, here we go again.
These guys again.
Please, it's not going to be like another Pride.
Rip off the tape, it says Wooden Spoon 2024 on it.
Not another Pride debacle jersey. I was going, oh my gosh! But luckily, it wasn't. It was an NRL. It was like, oh my god! They had to use the Manly image. But yeah, anyway, I reckon it's it's are they trying to get more money off sponsorships and endorsements, similar to what the players in the NBA get?
Yeah.
They're obviously saying that's not enough.
Money is obviously one of the main ones. They want to kind of get a 30% share. I think it's around 26. I think don't quote me on those numbers, but that's kind of where they're kind of wanting to get on the table. So negotiation is kind of stopped at around 26. But then there's other things. Again, like as a fan, there's so much that it's kind of real confusing. Like, well, what's the big argument? Because they keep putting it out and saying as fans, we just look at them thinking they're greedy, but some of it's around data. So it gets real. Like, and I guess that's why the RLPA is saying, look, can we just get some people who do this every day as their job? These mediators, these people who are professionals, are having these conversations about the ins and outs. Because there's stuff like the data, like their GPS data. And so, people, when you start hearing about data, I guess because it's like buzzwords and, privacy and stuff, people get nervous. So they go, yes, we should have that. But then I guess in the NRL's argument, like, well, we're the ones that are paying for this equipment, wanting to capture that we're the ones that put those stats up. So yes, it's your data, but we're doing the work to collate it. So I guess there's a bit of back and forth. And so that's where it gets real confusing when you start hearing these kind of things when they say data. I don't know, Simon, what's your view? Like, who's right, who's wrong? Like, how do we move this forward?
Oh, but I was speaking from a fan's perspective. To be honest with you, like as a normal fan, bro, like it's like who cares? Like you just want to get on with it, and you want the players to be engaging with the media, but personally, as a worker as well, who's in most of my jobs, I've been involved in in unions, and I really appreciate the security and the protection they give to workers, and so from a player's perspective, I can see that as well. I don't know, bro. I hope they get. I hope they get what they're asking for. I also feel like it's a bit weird that the NRL don't want to have like a mediator there, because that's what they're asking. That's what the RRPA are asking for, to get a mediator there to hear both sides of the coin. But I think as a fan, it's just disappointing because we're talking about this shit, and to be honest with you, it's a fucking boring headline.
Especially when there's so much good footy out there. Exactly. Yeah.
Bro, that's what we should be talking about, bro.
Yeah, boring headline. They use the image of Manly. It's like, man, silly.
Well, they are involved in a debacle with jerseys, so that's probably why they thought it was a good headline.
Just another jersey to add to their
false,
collection.
man. That's sad.
I haven't put my head around what really it's about, but like I said, as someone that's involved with I've been involved with workers' rights and stuff like that. Good on the players, bro. It's not a big career, bro. Get what you need to get out of the game, because the game spits you out if you don't perform, bro. You know what I mean? But on the other flip side of the coin, the fan, they don't want to hear this shit, bro. This should have been done behind closed doors in the off season. Yeah. So it's kind of carried on, and I just hope it's like over and done with. And the last thing we want is like strike action, bro. Because but that's if they really want, if they got the kahunas, bro, that's what they got to do, because this covering up the logo shit and the media shits, the media ban, it's like it's not really doing much. I still want to budge, so it's coming to a head. But like I said, bro, as a fan, I really wish it's over, because you don't really. It's a boring headline, bro.
Because which logo are they threatening to cover up? Because those are their sponsors.
Yes,
I'm watching the game. I'm watching the game, and I just want to throw it in there, bro. The mighty Broncos are up 20-0, and Carrigan's scored his first try in 78 games.
Footy's going to try and get to 100.
But both teams have covered up the NRL logo. So, what purpose does that serve? Like, we all know you guys are playing in the NRL competition.
That's your boss. Cover the logo, but the whole TV's got NRL here, NRL
I guess
there.
that's the way that they're protesting against it. Instead of taking strike action, that's how they're protesting against it. That's why Sonny Bill Williams did that years ago.
He did that with the alcohol ones, eh?
Yeah, and the banks. It was the banks as well.
Yeah, but I don't know, bro. Like I said, bro, like even listening to it on different numerous podcasts, it's boring shit, bro. As a fan, you don't want to hear this shit, man.
Yeah, and well, that's the thing. So as a fan, I think it does a real injustice. I blame the NRL. Like, they're the committee. Like you're saying, the players. There's no longevity there for them. Whereas the NRL is a business, they will always have new players and they will always continue. Yeah. Whereas these players, just for that term of their contracts, what they're trying to just get, their rights.
Whilst they're playing,
yeah, exactly. While they're there, money. They just want to be able to play the game as safely as they can and get as much as they can. But then they're out. Whereas the organization, the NRL, is still there. Yeah. And so, as a fan, like, it's annoying because it's a boring headline, but then also, especially with the Warriors, the Broncos going so well. Imagine if they pulled the plug, like they're talking about. Like, I don't know how that benefits the players to abort the Delhi M's. And so at the same time, I point back at Clint Newton, going, kind of what kind of advice, as much as you're putting the members and you're representing them, it's still the union or the RLPA who will give them recommendations. So not all these players know the ins and outs, similar to us as fans. But you take recommendations of these professionals. And so that's the other piece, is like, make sure you're doing the right thing for these players and that they get a result. Because the last thing you want is for them to be forced into a corner and go, look, no one's listening. Let's just stop playing. Broncos, the Warriors, this is our chance. And you go,
I think it's good though. I think they should take that option. They should take that option and just pull out, because they're going to get knocked out anyway. So,
I suppose from the RLPA side, like, what's the next? How do they get this across the line? Because they've been saying no for 20 months. So
Well,
what do they?
yeah, and that's
How
the
do they
thing.
get
Like
it
as much,
done?
yeah,
This
and
is
I guess
where
that's
the
the thing.
strike
Like that's
actions.
negotiation. Yeah,
This is where
well,
the threats come from. So
yeah.
I sort of understand that. I get where they come. Well, not that I get where they come from, but I get the action that they took. If you guys don't want to flip and get this deal done, then we're going to boycott the media. Then we're going to put things on your logo. We're going to boycott the Dally M's. We're going to keep putting pressure on until we can get the deal done. So I'm not really. I don't think it's a bad situation that they're doing this. I actually think that they're sort of backed into a corner where the negotiations have stalled for 20 months. So it's like, well, come on, we're going to put the pressure on you this way.
Because it was there was talks about it affecting state of origin as well, eh? So
Or just the commentators commentary and that.
mm,
But again, that I guess that's the thing. So the people who are, and I think it is probably doing as much as they're trying to go like this, not helping the players and guys like Gordon Tallis say it's doing rubbish. I think it's affecting the bottom line. So it is doing something, and that's why the NRL don't like it as much as us as fans. We go, oh, it makes no impact. I'm not
and
fussed if
but
they
then
don't
it's
pay.
saying, with all these release of player salaries recently, it's
Mm-mm.
even making the players look bad because
Well, yeah, and I think
because they're
that's the
wanting
thing. Yeah.
more. They're wanting more. Earning capacity. Yet
Mm.
they're showing the fans how much they're on as well. So it's
Well, I no, no, I disagree with that because
no. I'm just thinking, does it coincide with them doing that because then it gives that mindset of they're earning so much and yet they're wanting even more money through these negotiations.
that's the pressure that the NRL's putting through the media. The
Yeah, yeah,
NRL is
exactly.
saying that they're getting a 37% pay rise, which sounds horrendous if you're an average Joe and you're thinking
Mm.
37% pay
Yeah,
rise.
they
That's a
keep
shitload.
pushing that number. Yeah,
But if you look at it in terms of a percentage of total revenue,
yeah.
which is I think
Yeah.
what the
Oh, yeah.
RLPA is
It's
searching
it's
for,
minimal.
they're not getting as much as someone. A lot of people and groups and other people are making a shitload of money more than the players out of the
Yeah,
game that the players are putting their body on the line
yeah.
for. And I think that's the perspective the RLPA is saying. It's not so much about the the average wage and the minimum wage and all the rest of it.
Mm-mm.
It's sort of like the game makes X amount of dollars, and we want Y percentage of that.
Mm.
You know
No,
what I mean?
absolutely. I totally agree. But I think it was coinciding with the release of all these
Yeah, yeah. Just
salaries
putting it out.
to
Yeah.
make it, sort of exacerbate the whole situation as well
Mm.
for a fan perspective.
Yeah.
However that's being released, whether it's purposely being put out there by the NRL just to make the players then look even more greedy.
Mm.
Yeah,
So
and this is where sort of I get with sort of agree with Tana because they've gone for the media ban, and what that's
mm,
done is it's given the NRL the platform to sort of say the players are greedy. This is how much the player gets.
yeah,
Yeah.
This is the minimum wage is 150,000 or whatever it is.
yeah,
The average
mm,
wage is 400,000, and the normal people are looking at these numbers and their jaws
yeah,
are dropping
yeah,
to the ground and saying, "How could you not sign that deal? Look how much you're getting." And the players aren't speaking. So it's sort of like only one perspective which you're hearing, and that's sort of maybe the media ban is not a good idea now that I just worded it like that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm. Very good, boys. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know how it ends. I guess maybe the RLPA may have to go back on some of their negotiations.
they do have to because they've got over 100 items which they want
Yeah.
amended.
Mm.
That's way too much. You
It's
can't
going to
go in
drag
there.
Yeah.
on.
You
Exactly.
can't go in there and say change 100 things. You have to
Yeah.
go in there for like any negotiation and say
Mm-mm.
this part we definitely want, and these parts we're prepared to sort of let go. And when you negotiate, it's not like both sides get
You always got to
everything they
get
want.
everything. Yeah.
So yeah, they're going to have to neglect. But one thing I know, like Andrew Abdo, he's been the negotiator on behalf of the NRL, so he's the CEO, and then Clint Newton, who's the RLPA, whatever, president or chairman or whatever, and them two just seem to keep butting heads. So Volandis has stepped in and he said, "We'll take Andrew Abdo out, and why don't you take
Yeah.
Clint Newton
Exactly.
out, and then just to get the deal done." And the
Yeah.
RLPA disagreed with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
and
don't
I
know.
don't agree with that. Clinton Newton kind of, because yeah, that's the thing. He kept saying, "Look, I'll get out of the way." Yet when he's given a chance to get out of the way, they're going, "No, bring in an internal mediator, like bring in an independent." So it's like, well, we can do that. Like anyone else from the RLPA can demand that, but you just don't need to be there to demand it. So yeah, there is a bit of that kind of stuff happening, and yeah, a boring headline. On to other stuff. Some player movements. I thought we'd just talk about some of the whispers, some concerns, maybe some positives for some other teams like the Bulldogs. We'll start with Jerome Luai and whispers of him possibly leaving with the re-signing of some big names over at Penrith recently. Sai, you want to take that one?
Yeah, bro. And not only about Luai, but you mentioned the Bulldogs. Before, in previous weeks, we talked about like Ben Hunt trying to get out of his contract. And the media are really quick to jump on these players who want to move or not happy at clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't see the media pull up clubs trying to push fucking players out.
Yeah, because
And
everyone can see the mess. Like, well, got Cleary, you got
it
Edwards
happens all the
re-signing.
fucking time, bro. And I want to
Exactly.
give a rep to the also Raymond Faitala Mariner, who the doggies made him one of their co-captains. Like he's been the captain most of the year. Now we hear in the fucking in the media that they're trying to let him go, bro. He's contracted for another couple of years. What does that say about
Yeah.
contracts in general? If players want to get out or clubs want to push you out, it's just pretty much showing that they don't mean shit. But
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say, like, don't jump down on a fucking player when he wants to get out, because just like that, bro, in a moment's notice, club if you're not performing or club's not happy with your form or your where you sit in their top 30 contract, they'll move you on, bro. They'll find a way to move you on or do some kind of swap, and we don't see that side of the player. Like, bro, the player might have a family, might have young kids. It could be a decision to fucking move from one country to another or one state to another, and really just at a moment's notice, just uplift your whole life and move to a different thing. We don't see that, bro, and it's sad for Raymond of Faitala Mariner because
Yeah.
the
Yeah, he did a
the
big move from
results,
here. He left the
bro.
Warriors.
He's a ball playing second row. They've used him at 13/prop all year, bro. Like, that's not even his position, and now they're trying to move him on because of the way that I just think that we forget about the players in their lives and how, like, and it all kind of just intertwines with this thing we're talking about previously with the CBA and stuff like that. But players shouldn't be shot down about what they want to decide with their lives, because the profession is a short lifespan, bro, and you're not even guaranteed for the next week. One injury can put you out. So I just want to say for Luai, he's looking at that. He's been like one of the last guys to be re-signed, bro, from the Panthers. That should be give him a bit of a signal, like, man, you're not going to get big money from them, bro. They've already re-signed a few players before him. Liam Martin just recently. You don't have to be smart to do the maths,
And he was on
and I
low.
think
Yeah, he was on low money when
so.
those other
So
salaries
yeah,
was coming up.
he's one of those players that will like, for halves you're gonna get command big money, but then you got to make a decision. You got a shit team to make fucking decent money, or get paid unders and stay at Penrith for a successful team. And I've always said it on this podcast, bro. Players just chase that money, man. And look at his CV. He's been there, done that. He's represented the country, Samoa, taking them to a final. That now is the time where, like, before he gets spat out by clubs and the whole fucking cycle, bro, make your money while he's at his peak, man. And I think teams like Doggies, Tigers, they're down the ladder, but I think they could find $1 million for someone like Luai, bro.
Shit, you think he's worth $1 million?
I think you're worth whatever you can get paid. Also, we're just talking about Zelezniak. Is he worth 800,000? Well, obviously Warriors think so.
No, they don't.
Yes.
They're paying him about $550 for the duration of his contract.
Explained, in the message, Stace, how you explained it as the buffer that they get from the other club.
Yeah.
But I don't think players should be like. It's easy to critique them. Oh, he's not worth that. He's not worth that. But you're worth what people are willing to pay, bro. You know what I mean? It's that negotiation. Some players have good agents. Some players are like, But I think, and we're seeing the same thing with Payne Haas. His agent's a bit elas, bro. Payne Haas, the last couple of years, have been bitching about, he wants to go to a quality club. No, the fucking
Well, he knows
Broncos are
they're not going to
flying
win
high.
it this year, so
Well, but this year and last year we've been up there, and now he's made himself
not last year.
available. He's made himself available come
Just using his
November
clause, he
1st.
just wants to check the market, mate. Just making sure
So,
you guys are being honest.
I don't know. Everyone has their reasons, but players and clubs will just push and pull whenever they want to, bro. So it's like, make the most as you can, man.
Yeah.
There's a few of them that haven't signed on post 2024. Luai, there's Edwards as well that hasn't.
Edwards is signing soon. He
Yeah,
got offered $950.
Damn.
So if he's worth $950, then
Luai's not getting that. What does that say about Luai? They think,
they signed Dane Laurie, remember, from the Tigers, and he's been playing 5'8" recently. So I'm not sure if that means something.
Oh, Panthers signed him.
Yeah, Panthers signed Dane Laurie from the Tigers, and he's been playing 5'8" the last sort of month or so. So I don't know. I don't know if that.
I think the writing's on the wall for Luai, bro. He might be like moving on, man. Obviously, he's at Panthers next year, but the year after that, he could be moving on. Might be joining his critter at the Doggies.
Be good for him to change, because I guess, that's a big step, like being, a club junior and kind of, being successful, doing so much at the Panthers.
That's not a bad spine when you look at the Doggies in a couple of years. Critter at fullback.
Changing out.
But it'll test him, and the challenge for him wherever he goes outside of the Panthers is, it'll be a testament to see how good he is without Cleary.
That's going to be his shadow.
And the luxury that he's had at the Panthers, and that will sort of set him a foot for whether he gets
you guys were asking
Origin again.
When I said Luai could make $1 million, could command that, you guys were asking, is he worth that? Well, look at Luke Brooks, bro. He's been at the Tigers the last, 8-10 years. Has he been worth his $1 million a year?
No.
Exactly.
Nope.
So,
he wasn't with it.
It's possible for Luai to command that and someone to pay for that.
Yeah. I think there was that criticism, like what you mentioned before, Rog, can Luai lead a team? And I think someone in our group chat mentioned his thing for Samoa, because that was the issue heading into the World Cup. We've never seen Luai without Cleary. And he
took them to the final, man.
He took them to the final. And I think Bob mentioned, Bob in our group chat, that, that's not Luai's job to be the organizer. But just because it's not his job at Penrith doesn't mean that he can't do it.
But I think in the semi-final,
two things together.
In the semi-final and that final, he was the man, though. He was doing majority of the organising, the kicking. Milford was the quiet one. So he showed he can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I was saying is that people, because Cleary, he's the one who's pulling the strings, people assume that means that Luai can't do it.
He hasn't done it.
Exactly.
That's not the game plan at the Panthers for him to do that.
Yeah.
So playing to the game plan doesn't mean that you can't do another job.
Yeah, Luke Brooks is an interesting acquisition at Manly. 4 years. He's good in 4 seasons,
Yeah.
Also, I think that's a good one for Manly outside of DCE. I don't think Luke Brooks is the one to be the man, but
he's going to
he's going to be addition. He's going to be the Pippin to the Jordanals.
Nah,
because it doesn't look Kaya Weeks is signing again, Or he could, but at the moment he's not.
Look, I think DCE's 34.
He's 34.
He's 34.
So I think that long term, it's going to be Brooks and Schuster. I think that's why Schuster stayed on. Maybe 1 year and in the back row for Schuster. DCE retires. Brooks to 7 and then Schuster back to 6. So maybe that's the 4-year plan with the. Anyway, it's a different topic. Yeah. But either way, that's another 4 more years of Seagulls being outside the top 8.
Other way, it depends on Tommy.
Yeah, exactly. It does depend on Tommy. All right, boys. Did anyone catch any of the NRLW kicked off last week?
It's a negative. I just heard about it.
I
didn't know Nathan Taylor Wong is part of
she switched.
NRL as well.
Yeah. What's Niall Williams too from the Sevens?
Niall Williams. She was one of the
XP
first ones
dogs.
to go across sea, but
And
yeah, should be
that
interesting.
other, there was one who's been there for a year, another Sevens girl, I can't remember her name, Gail Broughton.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's right.
So I think that's quite a good stepping stone because
I think
they've
she
got that
already
other girl,
played. She
Emma
played last season.
Tonagato. Yeah, Emma
Yeah,
Tonagato,
Broughton.
who's
yeah,
the
Talagatos.
she was the player of the year in the NRLW, and she was an Australian Sevens rep. So I think that's a good transition for a lot of them, get a bit more extra cash.
Mm.
But I didn't watch any of the games. Nah, I'll let you take the lead on that one, Tanner.
No,
Because
yes,
how long is this season, Tons? How long is this season?
it's a short season. Like I think last year, because there's only a few teams,
Yeah,
like it only felt like maybe 8 weeks last year. It was real quick.
because I think
So
they've
that's
got
probably
more
why they've
teams this
started
year.
it now. It might run to the same schedule as the run to the finals for the normal NRL. So I think that's probably how they planned it. That's why it started so late. That it should run, and then they've been doing like the back to back games. Yeah, no, I just caught that Tigers game. Man, like just there was some Farah Cup on the other channel, and just kind of looking at the two products. Man, just those girls, they like just like the league boys. Like man, it's just so athletic. Everyone built like there's that prop in the Tigers team. So I mean, there's still hope at the Tigers club. Like I mean, as much as the boys are running, had a hard season. Their NRLW girls are running awesome. Sarah Tongatiki, their prop, over 200 meters, scored a couple of tries as well. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of good talent there. Just never really watched the game, but yeah,
So like,
something to
where's the Warriors girls, bro? They'll rip up, man.
uh,
They
No
don't have
business
one.
here.
They don't.
next year.
They did
Yeah,
have
next year.
one.
We lost
Yeah.
our team. Yeah,
COVID meant they couldn't afford to run both the men's and women's, so they put the women's team on hold. But I think right next year or the year after they're coming
They
back in.
would kill,
But
man.
yeah, they've got so many of their girls have left to. Madison Bartlett's playing for Canberra and a couple of others. Their fullback Uppy Nichols.
I'm quite surprised,
So
bro,
they've got
because
heaps of guns.
professionally, there's not many options for the girls, man, to play. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah, it was a
unions.
financial issue, which is why their
Yeah, that's
team
probably
got
it.
killed. Which
I
is
The
think
thing is,
unfortunate during the
the
COVID season.
girls will win a premiership before the boys do. The men's do, man.
Mm,
Well,
we'll
they're not
see
in the
about that.
comp this year, so how can that happen?
Well, exactly. That's the funny thing about it.
Just on that women's, just on the women's game, like going back to that CBA, like this is a good opportunity. They're trying to promote their game, and
Mm.
none of their girls were able to respond to the media as part of the media ban.
Oh, because it
So it's
comes
sort
on.
of like the timing couldn't be worse. They're there's the Women's Soccer World Cup on at this time, and also a lot of the eyes are on that sport for
Yeah,
women,
yeah.
and they need to be doing more to promote their game, and they can't with the media ban. So, I just wanted to chuck that in there.
no, there's you've spoken about Niall Williams and some of the high profile Sevens girls going over Broughton and also Taylor Wong, but then there's also Abigail Roach as well. That's at the Knights, and I don't know if you guys remember a Gerwin Roach. You,
Go.
Silence means no.
okay,
Go-
so
oh yeah.
it's his daughter, and his daughter
Oh,
goes
yep.
out with Dion Pesco,
Oh,
Dion
yeah, yeah.
Pesco's son. So
Ah,
she's
yes,
relocated over
yes.
to the Newcastle Knights, and they've gone over there.
Oh,
So
and she's playing for the Knights.
she's playing for the Knights. So she was a Chiefs Manawa. She was a girl at Chiefs Manawa,
Ah,
and then
okay.
she's gone over doing the same thing, transitioning across to
Yeah.
that other code, for the other opportunities. So, and whether that becomes something that she can switch in between, to earn money throughout the year. So once Chiefs Manawa is done and it goes across, or does it become something that they can potentially just concentrate solely on rugby league as a
Mm.
career path? But
It's good that you see them allow. I don't know if they allow it or like, can they go back and forth? The girls, like,
I'm not too sure what the technicalities would be with it, but it's obviously two different games. Whether Chiefs Manawa and whoever the provincial team that she was playing for in New Zealand would do it, eh? But she was New Zealand based and she played in that this year's competition
oh yeah, yeah.
before taking up that contract. So
Oh,
obviously the seasons aren't as long, but then it's able to give them contractual sort of and revenue in there as a professional athlete all year round, albeit different codes, and how
yeah.
they
I saw.
sustain that.
I saw a vision of on Instagram. I think Ruben Wiki's daughter's playing as well.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it
So
said
said
another
another
wiki in
wiki
the
sensor.
Raiders. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome too. Awesome, boys. All right. Before we move on to doing a multi for next week's games, I thought we'd just have a look at the top eight. We've kind of touched on them a bit, but I thought we'd go through some of these potential top four teams and just kind of speak to what's going to be the difference.
I'll just be in the corner.
I guess we spoke to the Panthers team. Just the form of Nathan Cleary coming back, and you mentioned it, Si, like who can beat them? Um, you mentioned the Broncos can. Yeah, watching Reynolds on the weekend, man, I believe like Reynolds is so key to that team as much as
Yeah,
Reece Walsh coming back in. Just seeing the stuff that, like, I guess his bag of tricks, like especially playing against Souths and just toying with them, look, faking to kick, dummying, run, and then pass. Um, yeah, I think he is probably the key to the Broncos. But yeah, I guess Broncos and the Panthers. I have questions around those hookers. Um, how much of that's going to make a difference in those spines for those teams, and will that pay in the end? I really rate Wade Egan in this run to the finals.
yeah. I think 1, 2, and 3 are kind of cemented. Um, uh, I think Panthers just shown they got the depth that even if they lose a few key players out, they'll still be there. Broncos are heavily relying on Reynolds. I think 3 players, Reynolds, Walsh, and Haas. Even Carrigan, you can put them in the category. Um, they need those guys. I think that's the nucleus of the group to put these outside backs, Katoni and Cobo and Walsh to unleash them. I think Broncos still got a long way to show on defense that they're capable, but they can score on anyone. And I think their first game of the year, they beat the Panthers. That should give them a bit of confidence that if it comes to grand final time or even a prelim final time, that they're capable. They have that confidence. Um, Warriors should make the 3. Even if Broncos slip up with a few losses, they're even in the position to make top 2. And saying that, man, I don't know. I'm still not sold, bro. I don't think. I think those 2 teams. I would even put the Storm ahead of the Warriors, and they're my 3 teams that are capable to win it. The Warriors are. I think they're just not really tested on D. They haven't had those tough games against those top teams. There was a bad loss against who was it? A really poor Eel side a few weeks back, and they played well against the Storm, but the Storm kind of ended up doing what they can do. I just think maybe it's a year too early for the Warriors. I mean,
The Warriors have just beat 2 top 4 teams in back-to-back weeks, just the last 2 weeks. So I'm unsure why you're not sold on them. Like, I mean, what's it going to take?
well, they haven't played. They haven't beat fucking Penrith or the Bronx. The Bronx B team beat you, and Canberra were in
That
the
was
top
that was a
4.
long time ago. That was when you could say the same about the Cowboys, who were the bottom.
Canberra were in the top 4, but I wouldn't quite call them as a cemented top 4. I mean, it was points
They were
differential.
fourth. They were fourth after 20 weeks. I mean, that's long enough to cement your spot.
Well,
And then we played the Sharks, who were third after 19 weeks. So I feel like you're disrespecting the Warriors.
I think, no, this is the question, right?
You've hit a
This is the
sensitive
question.
spot there.
That Penrith Panthers that's the team to beat.
You always say every week, "Oh, I'll believe it when I see this. I believe when I see
Who
this. I
can
believe
beat them?
this." We've seen
Who
them
can beat the Penrith?
beat 2 top 4 teams in back-to-back weeks,
Well,
and
that's
then
what
you're
I'm
like,
asking you.
"Yeah, I'm
That's what
still
I'm
not
asking
sure."
you. If Penrith are the team to beat, who can beat them? This is my
The
list.
Broncos.
Broncos, definitely. They're like I said, they
No,
proved they've
not the
beaten them in
Broncos.
game 1.
I think that's the thing. When I look
Game
at the
1. So did St.
Broncos,
Helens beat them the week before. They would get killed in the NRL.
Oh, they're showing the fire. I don't know how many wins you want us to win for you to believe that.
I believe in
Anyway.
the Bronx, but you don't believe in the Warriors, who are just
The
one place
Storm,
underneath them.
even the Bunnies and the Eels, I put that in their category because they've done it before. So I put all those 4 teams ahead of the Warriors. You asked me straight up, do I believe the
So you always
Warriors are
say, if I
capable
see
of
this, if
beating
I
the
see this, if I see
Panthers?
this, but you've been seeing
I
it
don't
and you
know.
still don't believe. It's sort of like it
I
gets
don't
to the
know.
point where it turns into more hating than anything else. And I think we've reached that stage.
Well, no, I said they can make
I
the
reckon the
prelim.
Warriors will slip up
They can make the prelim final, bro.
against the Eels. I mean the Seagulls. Sorry, they'll slip up against Seagulls. The Titans will give them a good run next week, and also Dolphins. Dolphins on that last game.
Tony.
Yeah, they should win comfortably over the
Warriors will
Dragons.
be there in the last 2
and
games
the
of the
Tigers.
season. Can they go that one extra step? You know?
If you're in the,
I think it's a good recipe.
If you make the last 4 of the season, you're in the contender category. You can't
But
say
they
that you're going to make 1 week
They're going to
before
get
the grand
knocked out.
final.
They're going to get knocked out the week before.
You're not in the contender category.
But if they lose to the Dolphins in the last week, that could cost them that top 4 spot. Because, you know,
Are you
the
talking
Storm...
about the 13th place Dolphins against the 3rd place Warriors? Is that what you're talking about?
Absolutely. They'll come... But, you know, because you mentioned about the guys are going to be the Whaleanga Mea guys. Dolphins will be that team. And so will the Sea Eagles 2 weeks before.
Thinking of years gone past, I think these are the teams that generally, the Warriors at this end of the season would be doing a mathematical kind of how many wins and losses, and we're usually in this position where
just don't underestimate
probably
these
drop these
lower
last
ranked
teams.
teams. Don't underestimate the Tigers.
I'm not being hating. I'm just looking at.
I think
look
it's
You keep saying you're not being a hater,
from
then say
previous
something
years.
hatery.
No, but look at that.
So I think you are a hater.
Hey,
look at their record.
Stacey's obviously highly sensitive tonight. I'm going to go back in my corner.
They lost to the Panthers.
I just want Simon to admit that
Storm.
you are hating on the
Again,
Warriors.
they're very,
as opposed
very
to
games that happened
saying
a
I'm
while
not a hater
ago.
and then
The
hate.
teams that they won against in the top 8 is what? Canberra by 1 point.
4th place Canberra, yep.
And the Sharks, who are like getting
3rd
fussy
place
right now.
It's going to unravel next week against
You
the
know what I mean?
Titans, okay?
Right.
14th place Titans is going to unravel your Warriors season. And then that's just going to be the downfall leading into the playoffs. If they make the top 8, you know, they'll be gone in the first couple of weeks.
I'm just looking at the evidence, bro. You know, it's there.
No, you're not looking at the
teams.
evidence. Your mind is clouded because of your hate. Because if you're looking at the evidence, you would say the Warriors have beaten 2 top 4 teams in consecutive weeks, and then that would make you more believing. But the fact that you're prepared to discard that evidence and go towards your hate tells me that you're a hater.
I really hope that.
But the Titans beat the Warriors last year. Hey, they beat them last year. Twice. And they beat them twice last year.
Okay.
So
this is what I think is going to happen with the
we made
Warriors.
squad changes and got rid of the coach.
Week 1
analysis.
Week 1 of the finals.
Underestimate them.
They could possibly lose in week 1 of the finals, right? And so come week 2, when they play like the best of the last 4, they could lose to a Kaya Manly team. It's possible. That's the thing.
Yes, it is possible.
Based on
Not
what
probable.
evidence are you basing this on? See, this is
Based
my point.
on-
You're
based on the,
dismissive of the evidence to go
The
towards your
inconsistencies,
hating
bro.
nature.
They're inconsistent.
And you know they've been inconsistent over the last few years,
Yes.
normally.
I'm talking about this year.
This year they've had...
I want you to admit that you're a hater because every week you're dismissive of the Warriors. And even in there in the top 4, even when they win 3 games against top 8 teams in a row, even when they beat 2 top 4 teams in a row,
it's like school C. You do good on the projects during the year, but how are you going to come?
The internal assessments
at the end
internal
of the year?
assessments are good.
We'll see that. But I mean, to be hating now when all we've got to know is what's happened in the projects. That's all we've got to go on.
Hey,
and in those projects,
not long ago, they lost to the Rabbitohs, 28-6. That's only just under a month ago.
A poor Rabbitohs team.
Yep, they lost to them.
The Warriors have won 5.
Take it out.
Outside of that loss, the Warriors have won 5 of their past 6. So that's the one loss.
And
so how is that not good form against the Rabbitohs?
We're talking about
I'm pointing about the evidence.
Okay, we're talking about prelim finals in the last 2 games of the year. Do they have it to go that one extra step and go to the grand final? I don't know. I haven't seen the evidence.
You've just seen the evidence 2 weeks in a row. That's my point.
Can you guys beat the Panthers? Can you guys beat the Panthers?
Here's what I think. I think the Panthers are the number 1 team. I think there's a little bit of gap, and then I think there's 2nd, 3rd, 4th.
Can you beat the Broncos?
But I put the Warriors in there.
I don't think so.
I think we can. I think the Warriors and the Broncos are in the same level.
It was a close loss against the Broncos recently.
How is it not?
You
think it's impossible to fathom that 3rd could beat 2nd?
Can you guys beat the Storm?
That's ridiculous.
I don't think so.
Of course we can.
Well, I haven't seen evidence that you guys can go the extra step. That's all.
You have seen evidence. You're dismissive of the evidence. That's my point.
You guys haven't
Hey.
beat those 3 teams, bro.
Lost to the Storm. Lost to
Lost to the
Roosters
Storm.
twice.
Lost to the Bunnies. Lost to the Broncos B
We'll
team.
see, because I hear hate
Lost
more
to the
than
Panthers.
facts.
What?
Lost to the Roosters
presenting
twice
with-
this
I'm
year. You've
presenting
lost
you
to the
facts.
Lost to
Roosters
the
twice.
Roosters.
I'm presenting you facts, and you're dismissive of the facts.
No, but you've
I
lost
just
to the
sent you
Roosters
your losses,
twice.
bro.
Lost to the Roosters twice this year.
Oh, everyone's had losses, even the Panthers. So the Panthers, I think they
Yeah,
lost
I'm
to the
just
Tigers.
saying.
Does that mean that the Panthers ain't going to win based on that loss?
But they're still at top.
You can
But
beat
the
up
Warriors
on
are
the
third.
lower teams all you want, but the evidence is there, man. The
That's
cream
right,
of the
the
crop.
evidence is
That's
there.
who you
The evidence
touch.
is there. Would be 2 top 4 teams back-to-back weeks.
Who are the
Even-
top? Who are the top 4?
Sharks and Raiders. Wow. Awesome 2 teams.
That's,
Sharks
that,
and the Raiders. Great wins, bro.
Sharks were
Great
third when we
wins.
beat them. Sharks were third when we beat them. And
You're
then the
living in denial, man.
People are only
Raiders
laughing
were
at the
fourth.
Sharks and the Raiders because the
You're living
Warriors
in
beat them, and
denial.
now everyone discounts them
We
as
won,
being
we
contenders.
won against the top 4 teams.
This is
some
the
fluke.
type of analysis that's biased analysis. I'm just pointing it out.
Exactly.
I'm pointing it out.
At least you guys are
I
getting
wanna
2
watch the
points
rest
from
of
the
this game.
bye. You guys are getting 2 points from this bye. I don't agree with these points from the bye. What's the point of them?
Dude, that's the only reason you guys are on 23 because you've had all your buys, man. You guys would be running next to the Tigers if you had any of your buys.
Hey mate, watch this space, mate. Out. We're gonna be climbing that ladder.
All right, nice boys. All right, man, that's a wrap. It's going to be an exciting week. Glad we got the buy that secures us. So, very happy this weekend. Any final words, Rog? 200k winger, mate. Thanks for joining us, bro.
800k, mate.
Oh,
800k. Sea Eagles gonna win the whole thing. Cam, can you just make sure you remember this recording? The Sea
stay
Eagles
off
are
the
gonna
Turks,
come
man.
from 11. We're gonna win. It's gonna be our first championship
Can
win
you
of
do
the
a
decade.
separate TikTok for this guy so you can go make
Stuff.
the world hear of this guy's eats?
Manly Sea Eagles, man. Even without Turbo, Josh Rooster's gonna be earning his coin. Kakitiano.
Whoa.
Nice, Rog.
This guy run away. Stace, any last words, bro?
Yeah, I just want to say, thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to talk a bit of footy. We're getting into that business end of the season now, and there's a lot of jostling for spots, which we talked about. So the next sort of 6 odd weeks, it's going to get really interesting. I mentioned this on a previous podcast with you guys, doing the NRL pod. Me and Rog, if he's gone, mostly on the rugby pod, and sort of like close to 50% of all players across sort of both codes, rugby and union, identify as sort of Pacifica. But when we look at the rhetoric and the commentary and the opinions and the analysis side of the game, we don't have anywhere near that same level of representation. So that's where podcasts like this that we're doing can come in and fill that void and encourage some Pacific voices and perspectives to be heard. So I'm just grateful to be part of it with you boys. So thanks, boys.
Sure, also. Yeah, thanks for coming on, bro. And anyone check out the Counter Ruck. The boys got another episode up last week. Really good one, so go check that out. WesWesNet.com, you'll be able to find all the podcasts. Samana Mani, any final words, bro? How's your game going? You getting a bit anxious there, mate? I see that the Roosters just scored.
Easy win to the Bronx, but some late tries to the Roosters just to give them a bit of a training run. But no, brother, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season, bro, and just to all our listeners out there, there's a website too with some good writing, good writing on there. Especially those who join in. I'm really enjoying reading his articles. So yeah, bro. Now, big ups to the Uso Cams with the work that he does, and you boys over there at the Kanarak. No, it's good to be involved, bro. And it's like Stacey said, bro. Just giving that perspective from fans, and not only that, but from Polynesian people, bro. So thanks for having me, also, and as usual, bro, up the Bronx.
Awesome, boys. Yeah, thank you. That's a wrap. Thanks for joining us, people. Go check us out. Find all the other podcasts on WesWesNet.com. Go check out our mainstay, our initial flagship show, Back of the 135. some great guests coming on as of recent. We've got the 800k winger back now.
Sorry, Daniel Tupou just scored a record 140 tries to take over Minicello's record.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
mate, this game could flip, so
9 minutes to
we'll
go,
get
mate.
back to it.
9 minutes to go.
8 minutes.
But thanks for joining us. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
But what?
Sure, boys.
Go Manly.